Hello and welcome back to the Orlando Adventures podcast. I'm your host Russ and today's episode is the Orlando Blues one. So, you've heard me say this a few times, but we are at episode 100, which is ridiculous. 100 episodes of the podcast and I've loved every single second of it. I've loved every second of it. I've loved the interaction. I've loved making the episodes. I've loved getting creative with it. I've loved talking about stuff that I enjoy talking about with all of you guys. I've loved every single guest that I've spoke to, the amazing people that I've met. But it felt like maybe it's time to do a different episode. Maybe it's time to do the ultimate episode, which is the opposite to what I've tried to do. And what I've always tried to do is be positive. But there is one aspect of Orlando, especially, and Disney. There is this one thing. And some people call it the Disney Blues. Some people call it Disney Blues. Some people call it the Orlando Blues, Universal Blues, whatever you want to call it. But I feel like there's this one thing in the blues that is so negative. I feel like it really gets people down. I feel like it really weighs heavy on people. And it's a topic that, I'll be honest with you, I've avoided. Because it feels too negative. It feels like it's... Bear with, sorry. Everything's like just gone down. I don't know what's going on. Bear with. Everything's turning a bit blue. I don't know. I'm not very good with technology, let's be honest. Maybe this episode's a bad idea. Maybe the blues, maybe the Orlando Blues is a bad idea. Maybe this is too negative. Maybe this is too far the other way. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we need to find a way to fix it. I feel like we need to find a way to get through it. And maybe let's do this from a slightly different angle. Maybe let's do this of how to get over the Orlando Blues. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try something that we haven't ever done before. And I'm going to try something that could be spectacular. It could be special. It might not. But I'm ambitious. I'm ambitious at very, very least. And if we want to save this episode, because let's be honest, this is not the greatest start to an episode you've ever heard. But if you know me, you know that I am going to try and put the most positive, the most entertaining, the most out there Orlando Adventures podcast way of dealing with the Orlando Blues possible. And ultimately, this is about protecting this community. We've built something special. We've built something unbelievable. We've built something that, quite frankly, I never thought we were going to build. When I started this podcast, thought I want to build a podcast to talk about something I love. To talk to other people about a topic which they love. But I never dreamt, in my wildest dreams, I never thought that actually this community would band together, would become so strong and so passionate about this one thing that we all love. And for me to unite it with the Orlando Adventures podcast feels mad. So if we're going to do this, if we're going to do this episode, we need to protect what it is we've built. We need to be able to fight for what we've built. So I think we might need to band together. I think we might need to join forces. I think we might need to do something that has never been done. And I think that we need to become something else. We need to become a group. And we've had the adventurers assemble, don't get me wrong, but we need to do something else because we need to guard it. So you know where this is going, but we need to become the guardians of the community. And if we're going to be the guardians of the community, we need a leader. And we need someone who's prepared to take us on this journey to wherever we go. And I think that journey is going to take us one way. And it's only ever going to take us one way. Because what we've done over 100 episodes, and I never say me, because it's always we, and it will always be we. What we have built over 100 episodes is nothing short of spectacular. So if I need to become the leader of this community, whether or not I need to become the leader of Orlando Adventures and I need to become your Star-Lord, then for this episode and this episode only, I will do exactly that. So there's only one place, and I said it a second ago, but there is only one place we're going, and I think we're jumping back. And if we're jumping back, we need to go all the way back, and I go back to the introduction one. So as you would have heard, this one might be a little bit cringe, but it was number one. It was where it all started, and it was where I went, you know what? I'm going to do this. I've got a passion. I am so passionate about Orlando that I am prepared to do whatever. I'm prepared to go out there and talk about my experiences. I'm prepared to talk about other people's experiences because I love it. And that's where it began. You can only get better from the start. And how did we get better? Because a few episodes later, we had our first guest. And if we're talking first guest, then we can only talk about two absolute legends. Chloe and Stephen from Parks and Pals. And they were wonderful. They were absolutely brilliant guests. I love Chloe and Stephen. I think they are absolutely fantastic. And it was such a pleasure. It was such a pleasure, and I feel so honoured that they were prepared to be my first guest on the podcast, because having their own podcast themselves, it would have been so easy. And I'm happy to say this. It would have been so easy for them to go, nah, you're all right. You're good. Because you're another podcast. You're potentially a competition. They didn't look at it like that. They looked at it as if this guy loves Orlando. This guy loves what he's talking about, and so do we. So let's just go and do it. And I mean, obviously you'll hear later on in the episodes, but we've obviously banded together again, and we've become such good friends, and I'm so appreciative of Chloe and Stephen. They are honestly, they are wonderful. So please, if you get an opportunity, go and check out Parks and Pals. So after Parks and Pals, it was a small matter of my 30th birthday. I did turn 30 this year. I know you won't believe it, but I did turn 30. Well, I turned 30 last year at this point. So I did an episode on my 30th birthday, and I did my ideal day in Orlando. And following that one, I had another legend. And everyone's a legend. And just so you know that everyone is a legend in this community. And everyone who communicates and everyone who gets involved with the Orlando Adventures community is a legend. But this guy's a legend. Jay, universally speaking, what a guy.
I will always try and be kind about every ride as much as I can, but some of them...
Fast and Furious. No, that's not
real. I was saving that for the end to say that was your favourite ride.
Let's save that to it.
You're obviously not a fan at all.
Not really, no. I know. Again, for those that have followed me on the page, you'll know this. I've kind of made it my personality now, so yeah, there you go.
And we spoke about all things Universal, and I loved it. He's a great guy. He's got a fantastic Instagram. He's got a great YouTube, and I wish he'd do more videos. And I don't know whether or not he will, but great guy. And he's passionate about Universal, and I've got so much time for that. So, Jay, universally speaking, what an episode. Next guest, and we've got two. We've got two people, and two people who I'm very, very fortunate to be able to call good friends of mine. And it's Tom and Jess. So T&J Travels, that was the third guest episode on the podcast, episode 13. And again, I just feel so grateful. I feel grateful for the friendship that I've built with Tom and Jess, because they're two amazing people. And what a YouTube, what a channel, what a motivational couple. They are brilliant. And what they do is they bring something else. They bring their own flavour of Orlando to YouTube and to Instagram. And what they do is nothing short of exceptional. So Tom and Jess, what an episode. Absolutely loved it. And next up, we had a Q&A. I love a Q&A. We'll find this out as this episode goes on, but I do love a Q&A. I really love putting it to you guys and going, you know what? And going, guys, I want you to ask me the questions. I want you to take over. I want you to be able to kind of like take the reins and ask me what you want to ask. And that was the second Q&A one at this point. And we've got many more to come, but it was a great way for us to you know, without being selfish and making this about me, it was a great way for you guys to get to know me. And I want you guys to get to know me. That's why I love doing the vlogs. It's why I love doing the podcast. It's why I love communicating with you all on Instagram. And it excites me. And you can probably tell this in my voice that I am buzzing. And if there is any way that we're going to get over these Orlando Blues, the only way to do it is to be as positive, as full of life, as strong as we can possibly be to get over it. And next up, we've got Ashley and Emma. Ashley and Emma, what a couple. What a couple. Again.
Your trip last year, that was your honeymoon?
It was.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, like the best place on earth to go and do a honeymoon, surely.
We wouldn't have gone anywhere
No.
else, would we?
We knew exactly. We knew where we were going on our honeymoon before our wedding venue was picked.
Nice.
We knew where we were going.
So appreciative of their friendship, of their support, of everything that they've done for me. I just cannot thank them enough. I think that they're absolutely wonderful. I really, really do. I think that as a couple, I can't wait for them to go back out to Orlando. And I appreciate that obviously they ended up having to cancel their trip because they're having a newborn. And I'm so excited for them that the next chapter they have in Orlando is going to be very different. But it is going to be magical. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. Next up was Orlando on a budget. Orlando on a budget, and I will be honest, this was one of my best episodes because who doesn't love finding out how to do something a little bit cheaper? And it was good, and it leads me in to my next guest, another fellow podcaster, another legend, Adam from the Devonshire Diz.
Rise of the Resistance in Hollywood Studios has my heart.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Star Wars fan. It's just it takes you into that movie, and that's exactly what that park is trying to do at the moment. Instead of being the historic of MGM Studios and showing behind the scenes, now it's a park of very much like trying to dump you right in the middle of the action and being part of that IP, and it's just fantastic. It's a fantastic ride. The technology behind it's incredible. Storyline when you're on it's incredible as well. Animatronics are fantastic as they always are with Disney. Yeah.
And Adam's episode was so much fun, and we talked about different experiences as well, and it was so nice to combat Orlando and Universal and Disney and that kind of stuff from a different angle, and Disney especially, but to do it from a different angle with Adam via talking to Adam was absolutely brilliant. And I'll always remember the hot air balloon story. I cannot wait to one day do that, and it's off of his recommendation more than anything. So great guy, fantastic episode, and it led us into another fabulous guest episode with Sam from 2 3/4.
Welcome home, you know.
Sam, he is a legend. He really, really is. I love talking to Sam because he's so knowledgeable. He knows his stuff. He knows all about Universal. Universal is his home ground. And I don't think there's many people who know Universal better than him. Maybe Jay. Him and Jay can battle it out. And I think they might do quite soon. But we'll see what happens with that. But Sam is brilliant. And again, it was fantastic to hear about Orlando from a different angle with regards to going with children and just combating it in a different way to the way which I would do it personally, because you know I go with Annie. Obviously we go as a couple. So for him to go with his young family is fantastic, and it's always special to kind of get involved with that, to hear about what it is that he's done differently to what I would. Retired Rides. This is episode 20, Retired Rides of Universal, and you all loved this one. You ate this one up, because if we talk about retired rides, we talk about Universal Studios, we talk about Jaws, we talk about, I was about to say Fast and Furious, it's not retired yet. We talk about Back to the Future, we talk about things like Twister, we talk about Earthquake, we talk about Disaster. There's so many, and retro and like kind of retired rides has become quite a staple of some of my episodes going forward. But before that, we talk about rides that are still here and rides that are going strong, and we talk about potential best rides. And that was episode 21 with Rosie from Theme Park Traveller.
Right then, number one. I think we all know where we're both going here, but
Yeah.
go on.
I mean, my number one is Iron Gwazi.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
I think
Unbelievable.
it's number one. I don't think it'll be number one forever in terms of rides around the world, but I reckon it'll be my Florida number one for a really, really long time. I can't
Yeah.
see them building anything in the near future that's going to top it. But like you say, that first drop, the
Yeah.
first time I ever went on it, I genuinely, you know that in cartoons when people are falling and then they start kind of like putting their hands out to like
Yeah.
stop themselves. I genuinely felt like that the first time I ever went on that drop.
Yeah.
And in the episode with Rosie, and I think it still holds the record for being the longest episode. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's up there. And myself and Rosie, we talked about our top 10 lists for rides in Orlando or Florida as a whole, because we included Busch Gardens. And what an episode. Genuinely, Rosie's a ledge. She really is. She is absolutely wicked. I love talking to Rosie. And we talked for hours. Like, we were on the call for a solid couple of hours, if not a bit more than that. So we gave you the edited down version, and it was absolutely wonderful. And we keep moving on. And just as the podcast does, we keep moving, and we move to the next guest. And the next guest is none other than a good friend of mine, James, from Snacks, Beers and Mickey Ears.
How are we doing, Russ? I know we were just saying this, but how weird is it that this is our first time speaking face to face?
Yeah, it's been a while, and like obviously we've had a lot of chats about Orlando, a lot of chats about, you know, kind of your past trips, my past trips, this, that, and the other, and it's good to kind of just like sit down and really kind of get into it as much as anything.
100%, yeah. Like it feels like I'm talking to someone who lives down the road from me. You know,
Yeah, no, it's wicked. It's absolutely wicked. I really appreciate you taking your time out to come and have a chat with me about all things Orlando.
What a guy. What a guy. The support, the passion for wanting to talk about Orlando. And do you know what? I said this at the time, but at the point, I've never met James in person. We never spoke on a call or anything before this moment. And when I was chatting with James, it was like chatting with a mate I've been like friends with for 20 years. James is brilliant. He really is. I think he's absolutely spot on. So if you don't follow James, go and check out Snacks, Beers and Mickey Ears, because he is a top guy, absolute legend. And as we continue talking about legends, we cannot miss out the brilliant, the fantastic Ellie and Mitchell.
Who are Ellie and Mitchell?
Well, interestingly, we know that you gave us these questions, and so we've actually answered them in secret. So I don't know what Mitchell's written, and he doesn't know what I've written.
Although given it's the first question, you should know who I am. That shouldn't come as a surprise.
Yes, I just about know who you are. That's fine. So what did you put down? Who are we?
I was going to let you go first.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm polite.
I said we're a fun couple.
Oh my
I said
God.
we're a fun couple.
And I'll never forget, as long as I live, most overrated ride, Ellie, Rise of the Resistance. And it still makes me laugh. And it does because that's what I made that segment. That's what I made it for, because everyone's got a different opinion. And Ellie wasn't scared to go, you know what, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say what my opinion is because it's my opinion. And I respect that so much. I really, really do. And I think that they are a brilliant, brilliant couple. Their YouTube vlogs are fantastic. Go and watch them. Go and subscribe right now. Go and subscribe to Ellie and Mitchell, because they are putting out some top tier vlogs. They really, really are. Their support for me, their friendship for me, is someone else. So I appreciate Ellie and Mitchell with everything I have to give. And we followed that one with my third Q&A. We are 26 episodes in and I've done 3 Q&As already. Well, I'm showing no signs of slowing up with the Q&As, as you're going to find out by the end of this video, but I love a Q&A. Like I said a minute ago, I love giving you guys the opportunity to kind of like just ask the questions you're kind of itching to know the answer to. And we followed that with 2 people who I think still hold the record for having done what I would deem to be the best Walmart vlog, the best kind of trip around Walmart, and it's Danny and Vicky from Roll On Holidays.
Walmart trip.
Ah,
Your Walmart trip, honestly, genuinely, I think is the best Walmart trip I've seen of any YouTubers. It is the best.
Thank you
Honestly,
very
made me laugh so much.
Thank you.
Just everything you picked up, and you'd be like, "Oh, which one do you want?" Danny puts both in the trolley.
Yeah.
Like,
you're on, aren't you? You got to treat yourself.
And they are such a great couple. They are so kind, so sweet. They honestly put out such great content. I think that they are just 2 of the most genuine souls there are out there. And I've got so much time for them. I will just keep supporting them because I think that what they're doing is brilliant. I really do. I really, really do. And I really appreciate their support as well. It means the world. It absolutely does. So keep doing what you're doing and go and check out Roll On Holidays. And if we're talking about people who are positive, if we're talking about what this episode should absolutely embody, we cannot do this episode without one person. And that one person is the pillar. And I've said this a million times and I'll say it a million more times, but this person is the pillar to this community, and it's Jade from Time for Jade.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
going to preempt Tim Tracker because everyone says Tim Tracker when I start saying this.
Oh yeah, everyone knows Tim. Tim is the OG.
Yeah, absolute OG. I mean, I remember watching Tim Tracker like probably 7-8 years ago. He used to have a curly mustache. Back
Yeah,
in the
I know.
days I used to watch him.
Yeah. Do you
Like,
know what? I actually met him when he had that curly mustache.
that's
I met him 9 years ago.
That's wicked though. That's so cool.
She is wonderful. And honestly, that first episode that I recorded with Jade was special. It was fantastic. And I don't think Jade will mind me saying that she was quite nervous to do it. I don't think she'll mind me saying it because it is out of people's comfort zone. And Jade isn't alone on that. I think a lot of people jumping on this call with me to do a podcast episode when essentially you don't know me is amazing. And it shows a confidence and it shows a belief in what I've made and what we've made as Orlando Adventures. So Jade, keep doing what you're doing. We want vlogs. We want vlogs from Jade. And I'm sure I'm not alone on that. I think a lot of people would be so up for it because Jade is so supportive. She's so supportive. She'll back anyone. And that kind of support, that kind of passion, that kind of positivity, it goes such a long way. And it certainly gets recognised. And I recognise it more than anything. We carry on with a retro. We go to Retro Islands of Adventure. And this was an episode I actually had to do quite a lot of kind of research on because there aren't that many things that had changed at Universal, well, Islands of Adventure over the years, but then there were some quite big things that had changed over the years as well. So we got into things like Lost Continent and the Merlinwood area and all that kind of stuff. And what a fun episode. And again, you guys absolutely loved it. And it makes me so happy when I get such good feedback on an episode. And not to say that, Russ, you've done wonderful. It's not that. It's the feedback of, I remember this ride or I remember this land, and you tell me about your experiences and I'm here for it. I want to hear about that. I love hearing about that. It's one of my absolute favourite things in the world. And talking about favourite things, a couple more of my favourite vloggers. It's Kimberly and Dan from the Hambletons. Kimberly's journey. And what an episode. I loved this. I loved it. And I loved every episode. We've got this at this point. But another pair of legends. Absolutely brilliant. They honestly, they put out some top tier vlogs as well. So please do go and check them out. They are funny. They really are. Their comedy is spot on. And whether or not they're trying to be funny, I think they're just naturally funny people. And I think that about a lot of people in this community. I think that people are entertaining. I think that people are, you know, naturally entertaining people. And that is also what sharing your experience is about. And sharing experiences, we got another couple, funnily enough, called Kim and Dan from Wizards and Walt.
So keep for me would be hope.
Yeah.
I'd leave
same.
it as it is.
Same.
Nice.
Update would be Ripsaw Falls.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And then close would be Kong.
Yeah,
and
same.
I was shocked initially when I thought that, but yeah.
I really
close
like Kong, but it just feels like they've got rid of the 3D thing now, haven't they?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
doesn't go outside anymore either at the
Yeah.
beginning, like through the big gate. It's kind of like, well, if you're not gonna like show the whole thing properly, just do something
close
else.
it, yeah.
Do something else.
It's lost such a big part. I just find it bizarre. I really do.
Scare actors that they used to have in the queue as well, like they're gone. Like it's just
it's such a strange one because it's not, you know, it's not even that old a ride.
And Wizards and Walt, another wicked and absolutely fantastic YouTube legendary couple. And you know, they are just so sweet. They're so wonderful. They're so good at what they do. And I really enjoyed talking to Kim and Dan. They were absolutely brilliant. And I remember Dan saying that he thought his most overrated ride was Hagrid's. And to an extent, I get it, and I relate to it. And it's not a negative by any means. I think he even said he loves the ride, but it's just like the queue line. And there's aspects of the ride that maybe could do with just being slightly better, because Universal have already shown that they can do stuff so well. So it was a great point, and that is another one of the things about the guest episodes that makes them so special and so wonderful. And moving on to the next one then, and we got the wonderful Sarah from Orlando and Me, and Sarah was brilliant.
Do you go through like a boiler room type thing? Yeah, in the queue.
Yeah.
And I remember standing in there thinking, it's quite spooky in here. I'm not sure I'm going to like this ride. And I remember saying to my mum, I don't want to go on this anymore. And my mum was like, oh, but we're here now. Like, you got to go on it now. So I went on it and I just screamed the whole thing. Like the ride photo, my mum has still got it and you can't even see me because I'm like in my mum's lap. Like, right. So I think that's what started it off.
I loved chatting with Sarah. She was so easy to talk to. And I could have spoke to her for hours, because it was so great, again, to hear about her experience of taking her young daughter to Orlando and seeing that Orlando experience through her young daughter's eyes. And I'm so appreciative that she came on, because it was just such a wonderful episode. And it honestly, it left me feeling so positive and so happy, because she's just such a positive, cheery, wonderful person. Go and check out Sarah's Instagram. It is absolutely brilliant. It really is. And if we're talking about content creators, we've got to talk about someone who creates a lot of content. And I respect it. I respect it because I create quite a lot. And this guy, he creates a lot. And he's been on a lot of trips. His knowledge is right up there. I think it might be unrivaled for knowledge of theme parks around the world, and it's a Brit Travels. Lee, it was a brilliant episode 37, and myself and Lee, we spoke about so many different things, but Lee, like I said, his knowledge of different parks around the world is just a different level, and he's an absolute legend for coming on. And you'll see that he comes back later on in the episodes. The next episode, episode 38, it was my first special. It was my first Monday episode. It was my first episode that I went, this has happened and I need to drop an episode tomorrow. And it was the D23 one. So there I am, Sunday morning, I'm seeing all this news come through, and I went, I'm going to make an episode. I'm gonna do an episode on Disney D23 because there's so much information. There's so much information to share, and there was so much excitement. And I think that you guys, I think you really appreciate it. And I felt that because I had a lot of people message me after that episode saying like that they'd appreciated that I'd compiled all this information into one place. And I loved it. And I'm so excited. I am so excited for the kind of the updates coming out of D23. And talking about excited, I'm excited to get these guests back on. And it won't be too long before I do, but they are Scotland to Florida. It was Amy and David.
Like
Any
overall,
park.
out all the parks.
Go any park in Orlando. I mean, that's fair.
So hard, isn't it? Do you want to go first?
Velocicoaster's the obvious one. I'll absolutely love Iron Gwazi. I love a wooden coaster. I don't know, there's that many. And I again, like when I was listening to the one that you did about like your day at Universal, I love Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Marvel fan as well. I just love it.
Yeah, good man.
Every time it gets you, you're like, you just get so nervous, like, when's it going to shoot me up?
Yeah.
And then it's just instant thrill. I love it. I love Spider-Man. I love them all.
Yeah.
I think for me, it would probably be Hulk, and I know that that'll be controversial, but it's just one of the golden oldies. Like I have to do it every time. David doesn't do it anymore just because it throws him about, and he doesn't feel very well coming off it now. But
yeah, I don't know what's happened, but it's the only ride that I feel it's just as soon as I nearly pass out every time I go on it. Now, just right at the start, so I can't go on it anymore.
And what a couple! They were absolutely brilliant. I just loved chatting with them. They've been so supportive of myself, of the podcast, of the YouTube, of the merch, like you name it. They have been wonderful. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you to Amy and David. And again, like up and coming YouTubers, like they're putting out, they're starting to put out more content. There's more stuff coming, and I'm so here for it because they are, again, like anyone in this space, they're unapologetically them. And that's what I want to see. And that's what we all want to see. We want to see different personalities. And they are who they are. And they are brilliant. So if you get an opportunity, Scotland to Florida, they are brilliant. And next one up was Hidden Gems in Orlando. This was episode 41. Episode 41, Hidden Gems in Orlando. And this was one of the first episodes where I kind of decided I'm going to take one of my questions and I'm going to spin it. I'm going to spin it so that I can do hidden gems in the entirety of Orlando. And it was so much fun because I do think there's quite a lot of hidden gems. I think there's a lot of things that people don't do outside of the theme parks. So to be able to delve into some of those was always so much fun. And the next guest that we've got, episode 42, it's Steve's Disney adventure.
Warrior loved Disney, so he used to go to Disneyland, California, and he always said to me, you need to go. And his favorite thing, he used to just like to sit on Main Street and people watch. And we were going all over the States and stuff, doing Comic Cons and signing events and things like that. And the last one we did before he sadly passed away, we went to WrestleMania 30. We were inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he said to me at that time, if anything happens to me, promise me you'll go to Disney. So he passed away in 2014. And then 2016, my sister, who's been a few times, she loves Disney. And she's in some of my vlogs. She was going to Florida and she was like, you just have to go.
Steve, what a legend. What a legend. He started telling the story about how he used to be the Ultimate Warrior's manager. And I had to hold back. Because I'll be honest with you, I've been a big wrestling fan over the years. So when he mentioned the Ultimate Warrior, I was a bit starstruck. I'll be honest, and I've said this to Steve because I'm such a big fan, and to hear that was incredible. It was incredible to think that basically, you know, this guy has travelled the world with one of the most famous wrestlers of all time. And Steve, Steve, what a guy. What an absolute legend. He was so wonderful to speak to. And I'd be very, very up for chatting to Steve again because he was absolutely brilliant. And the next one, episode 43, I took a risk. I went out on a limb and I decided I'm going to do an episode that might upset some people. And this was the first time I'd done one. I'd waited until episode 43 to go, let's get a bit controversial. And it was the worst things about Walt Disney World 1.
The worst thing about Walt Disney World 1 is leaving Disney. It's the worst. It's the worst part of it. And to be honest with you, that pretty much wraps up this episode. So I appreciate you all listening, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. I'm absolutely joking.
And I hope you all enjoyed the intro because honestly, it made me laugh and I made it. I just thought I've got to put an Orlando Adventures spin on this, and it's exactly what I've always tried to do. So you'll find there's a few of these episodes at this point as we go through the episodes, but in that episode especially, I just wanted to really showcase that there are negatives. Like let's not shy away from it, but let's find the positive in it. Let's take a second to go, yeah, this aspect might not be amazing, but also at the same time, let's not forget, let's not look past the fact that actually there are some incredible things. There really are. So let's take the negative and let's spin it to the positive. And that's the Russ way of doing it. And talking of positive, my next two guests had me in stitches. This is one of the episodes where I have laughed the most. And it's Life with James and Ben.
And this isn't a Disney, it's a Universal thing. My absolute underrated sort of hidden gem thing that probably made me the happiest on our holiday. Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls. Not the actual ride, but where you can put $1 in, or you can now contactless do $1 to get people wet as they've come up, like they're in the little boat thing. They've gone down the slopes, they're soaking wet, they think, oh, that's it, I'm not getting wet anymore. Wait a minute, Ben's got his $1, and it goes right in their face. I could spend an unlimited amount of money there. He was watching me, and I was just like, literally, it's like, I don't know, a 4-year-old kid having a meet and greet with Mickey Mouse for the first time. That's what my face does. I could spend an hour there.
You were literally living your best life. I was like, okay, we've got to go now. Come on.
Yeah, that for me, if anyone's not done it, it's worth a good $5, $6, $10. Like, definitely. So yeah, love it.
Life with James and Ben. And as you would have just heard, the story where Ben's telling me about like wanting to stand at the bottom of Ripsaw Falls and spray people, it is one of my favourite things from the podcast. It is one of my favourite stories. He genuinely had me crying. I was crying with laughter hearing their stories. And they are too, again, their support, their generosity, their kindness, just everything that they embody it's so wonderful to see, and I feel honoured, and I feel lucky to be able to call them friends, and I would, because I think that they are two of the most brilliant people in this amazing community. So Life with James and Ben, please do go and check them out, because they are who they are, and they are absolutely. I'm almost lost for words. They were fabulous. They were absolutely wonderful, and I was so happy to have done that episode with James and Ben. Next up, then, we go and beyond with episode 45. We travel and beyond to Disneyland Paris, and there was only one person. There was only one person I could get on to talk about Disneyland Paris to start with. And it's Chris from Chris Roosevelt's Chatter.
It wasn't until I met up with my girlfriend Karen in 2019 that I then started going to Disneyland Paris. We decided we wanted to go on the holiday. She was a Disney fan. It's funny because the roles are kind of reversed. So I was a big Star Wars fan and she was a Disney fan. And she would watch Star Wars videos more, or Star Wars more than I would, but I would watch Disney more than she would. So it's kind of like, my love for Star Wars is still there. Don't worry, it's never going to go.
Still strong.
Yeah, so we went in 2019, and then we were lucky in 2020 because we went the week before the pandemic hit.
What a legend. Like, legend sums this guy up because he was brilliant. He was wonderful. His knowledge of Disneyland Paris, his passion for Disneyland Paris, his just excitement for it as well is something else, and it's so wonderful to see. And again, he is one of these amazing people in this community who supports everyone, and he supports people so strongly. And it's special, and it really is special to see it and to be a part of it. So Chris, I'm genuinely, I feel very lucky to be able to call you a friend because you are a fabulous human being. So just legend. There we go. We got legends galore here at Orlando Adventures. And going to the next legend, we have got Dom from Wookiees on Tour.
We always did a little bit of videoing. So when we went to Orlando, we'd had little clips of this, so little ride launch or something like that you put in there. But doing it for this level where you're actually doing the whole trip and you're seeing it start to finish, it's just nuts. I mean, we watched our Christmas one back a little while ago, and it just brings you right back to it as if you're there again.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
It's amazing. It's a big step to jump into it. But once you've done it, it's that first few videos that you get going with. You feel a bit of a tool when you're doing it, but after a while, you just sort of forget. And
which is fair enough.
Wookiees on Tour. This was a fabulous episode, and I'll be real with you. At the time, I had an episode like get moved. So it happens. It doesn't matter. I'm like it's not a problem. Like an episode moved. A guest episode was basically it was postponed for a week or two. It's not an issue. And Dom just jumped in. I messaged him. I was chatting with him, and I was like, "Mate, do you reckon you could do an episode tomorrow?" He's like, "Yes, mate. Not even a question." So what a guy. What an absolute legend. And I'm so appreciative of Dom, of his support, but also what he's trying to do with Wookiees on Tour is it's a different channel, it's a different perspective. It's himself and his family going on trips, and he's got a series coming out at the moment where they were on a cruise liner. So go and watch it. Like if you're interested in cruises, like go and check out Wookiees on Tour because he's putting out some really, really good content. And the next one that I've got, my next episode was with another fabulous couple, and we talked about food. We talked about food a lot. If you follow their Instagram, you'll know that they love food as much as the next person, and it is Josh and LJ.
On this trip,
I would say our top one is the spring rolls from Magic Kingdom.
Yeah,
the cheeseburger ones. Yeah.
I'd say the second would probably be Ronto wrap. Breakfast or normal one. They're both as good as each other. But when we think breakfast, we can go straight to Galaxy's Edge. We're going to get a Ronto wrap. That's going to start our day.
Yeah, perfect.
And then,
that's what a Starbucks class as a snack.
I don't know.
I'd go for it. I'd go a Starbucks, but I mean,
but then I wouldn't say this is controversial. I prefer a Universal Starbucks to a Disney Starbucks. I think they taste different.
Really? Interesting.
I don't know why.
Josh and LJ were wonderful. They really, really were. And it was such a fun episode to get into and to talk to both Josh and LJ. They are another couple of legends. And we're at the midpoint. We are at the midpoint with my biggest episode, my greatest achievement on the podcast so far. And it was assembling the Adventurers. The Adventurers Assemble one. I contacted every single guest and I asked them, could you send me a question? Could we do a Q&A with every single one of you sending me a video? And every single one did it, which blows my mind. And trust me, I thought about ideas for this 100th episode and I was like, maybe I can try and do something like that. But honestly, it blew my mind that actually I thought I won't be able to repeat it. I won't be able to repeat how epic that episode was. So everyone who I've mentioned in the previous 50 episodes, thank you. Because to get to 50 episodes was a mega achievement. To get to 50 episodes was massive. But to assemble everyone in the same podcast episode, in the same video as well, was absolutely just something else. And it was where I launched the merch as well. At the end of the video, if you know I'm a big Marvel fan, and you always stay for the end credits. And I did an end credits where I tried to thank every single person who I knew at the time had listened to the podcast. And I probably missed hundreds of people, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to thank everyone. So I tagged every single person I could in that video. So if you stayed for the end credits, you would have seen I did the reveal of the merch, and an Orlando Adventures store was born. And the next guest, the first guest we had in the second half of the 100, we had the first return episode. It could only be one couple at this point, and it was Tom and Jess.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's nice to be back.
It's great to be back on.
Yeah, I've been buzzing for it, honestly. Like, since the moment I stopped recording the first one, we were already talking about it. We were like, we got to get the second one done. And to be fair, obviously, it was months ago at this point. So it's good to have you back on. You're fresh off the back of another trip, and got lots more to talk about with regards to Orlando. So I'm absolutely buzzing to have you both on.
Yeah, great. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
there certainly is.
T&J were back. T&J, they were here to talk about more of their experiences, more of another one of their trips, their trip that they'd done, which was a different trip to what they'd usually done as well. And it's always just such a delight to chat about Orlando with Tom and Jess. They're a top couple and embody legend. They absolutely do. So next one up, we have got the Hamilton family.
So we do, like, I love obviously going to, everyone loves this place, like Celebration. It's not like an activity, but it's just a nice area to go.
Chill day out, yeah.
We love like Winter Park as well. But I love going to like the Winter Park boat tour. Definitely check that out if you've not been on there. It's like it's in Winter Park, and this boat ride.
Scenic boat tour.
A scenic boat tour, yeah. And you go around these, but I think it's about 3 lakes. You go through canoes as well, and you see like these houses that are worth probably 10 to 30 million, I reckon. Like, you know, they tell you stories about some of them as well.
Yes.
Which is definitely worth doing.
There's a house that they actually show you that they actually cut in half.
Yeah.
And they moved it across the lake. There's actually a YouTube video on it as well. How they done it. It's amazing.
Charlie and Perry were just so fun to talk to, and their experiences of Orlando, they have been a lot. So it was always good to talk to people who have been there a lot more than I have, and have had different Orlando experiences, and you know have done a lot more stuff outside of the parks, which I'm all for. So again, another brilliant YouTube. Go and check out the Hamilton family, because they are a family of 4 legends. They really, really are. And the next episode, I did episode 55. Episode 55, I did the Restaurants Down International Drive one. I took us for a walk. Or a drive up International Drive, and I basically listed every single restaurant that I could find on Google Maps. And you all loved it. And do you know what? I loved making it because I've done a lot of off-site stays, obviously, from at this point. And it was so fun to kind of talk about these places. And there was a lot of places I was like, well, I haven't been here, and I haven't been here, and I haven't been here. But there were also quite a lot of places I was like, well, I have been here, and I can talk about my experience of it. And it was so good when you were all messaging me going, oh, I've been to this place. Russ, you should go to this on your next trip, or you should go to it on this trip. Well, what an episode. Good fun. And it moves me on to the next episode with the theme park dad, Adolfo.
That is correct. I am Cabana Bay poolside right now, an early Sunday morning. It is amazing. This property here is it's amazing how big and how many rooms they have.
Yeah, stunning. Absolutely stunning. Oh, I'm a bit jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, if it's one place to record a podcast, I think I chose the right spot.
And this was the first episode that was recorded from Orlando. So Adolfo was in Cabana Bay. Cabana Bay, poolside. What a guy, what a legend. I love his page. Himself and his daughter Issa, just seeing their trips and the joy that that he gets from seeing Issa enjoy it, and the joy that Issa is getting from having these wonderful trips growing up, it is magical to see. And I really do hope that I get to bump into Adolfo in one of the parks one of these days, because I think it would just be such a pleasure and such an honour to meet an absolute pair of legends in Adolfo and Issa. Next one, we've got the next and beyond episode, and it was none other than Annie Stores.
I have a big question for you though. Have
Go
I
on.
converted you enough to actually like seriously think about I'm going to book a Disney
I
cruise?
was thinking this genuinely halfway through the episode. Halfway through the episode, I'm sat here and you're telling me all of this amazing information, and I'm thinking I would buy a Disney cruise from you, like 100%. Genuinely, I will be amazed if we don't go on a Disney cruise next year. I'd be so surprised. Yeah.
I think you should do it. I think you
Yeah.
should do it. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough to people because it's just so special. And until you're on board, it's hard to kind of convey that. But if anyone, I mean, obviously your listeners will be into the parks and things. If you love the parks, I cannot see a single reason why you would not love a Disney cruise.
Annie Stores, and she came on and she was fantastic. Annie was brilliant. She basically did so much kind of like prep to be able to talk about Disney cruises. And Disney cruises is a thing that really, really interests me. And when I tell you, I was sold. Once I'd finished this conversation with Annie, I was absolutely sold. And it's going to happen. It will happen at some point. I don't know when. Orlando is obviously at the top of my list always, but Disney cruises is got to happen off of the back of the recommendations of Annie Stores. Absolute legend. Moving on then. Episode 59. Episode 59. So episode 59 was Magic with the Misskimmings.
Update or close section. And I've been mean. I've been mean.
I nearly thought I was you.
Yeah, when I wrote these down and I had a little chuckle to myself and I thought I'm being funny here, and then actually I was just being mean. But I went with a Hollywood Studios theme, and the options I gave were Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, and Rise of the Resistance. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was whenever you sent this email through, I was in work and I looked at it and I took a screenshot and I remember sending it to you and I was like, that was just uncalled for. That was just me.
Yep.
And I sent it to Kira and she was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just, I feel like we've been victimized here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. To close one of those rides feels really, really hard.
Becky and Kira were wonderful. They were just so fun. They were so positive. They were such a laugh. And I still feel a bit bad about the keep updating close that I gave to the Misskimmings, because I was mean. And as you would have just heard, I really did go hard on it. And I was a bit naughty. I went on their Instagram and I basically looked for free rides that I know that they like. And I went for it, and it felt a bit deep. It felt a bit personal. So I'm sorry. I still am sorry, but it was good fun and it was entertaining nonetheless. And talking about entertaining, we go to episode 60. Episode 60 was the most overrated rides and attractions one, and did I upset some people? Oh, did I ever? Because I said that I thought the most overrated ride in Islands of Adventure was Spider-Man. And I still feel bad. And I constantly justify it to people. But it was such a great episode to make conversation, because I do believe it. I wouldn't just say it for the reaction. I'll say it because I mean it. Because I actually have a reasoning and I have a rationale to it. So that was actually one of those episodes that I loved. I loved doing because it sparked conversations, and I'm here for the conversations, as I've said. And the next conversation with a guest I had, I'm good at these segues, by the way, aren't I? God, I'm good at them. And the next guest I had was Brogan and Harrison.
Guardians has a place in my heart, and it was just.
It was.
That was so good.
The whole we were lucky enough to get on it a few times. I mean, by like setting multiple alarms to make sure we got on the queue and all this stuff. And I think We even got like everyone wanted the classic of getting September to come on, and it was
I
amazing.
think that was the last song we got, and it was just
the whole
the last ride.
It
of the
erupted,
trip,
didn't it?
kinda.
Everyone was like, yes.
Oh,
it was just
I agree. I
amazing.
agree, though. I think it's the one. September's the one. It's something about it.
And just what a lovely couple. Like absolutely fantastic pair of legends. They just talked to me all about their most recent experience in Orlando, and it was just delightful to hear about it. And a really positive couple. A really fantastic couple, and they're new to doing Orlando trips on YouTube, and I just think that they're smashing it. So go and check out Brogan and Harrison, please do. And that leads me on to the next one, which was episode 62, the Epic Universe one. I'd wanted to do Epic Universe for a while, and eventually I pulled the trigger on it. As soon as we basically got the date for it to be opened, I did the episode. So I was straight on it. The Epic Universe one, just, I mean, need I say more? How excited are we all about Epic Universe? And talking about excitement, my next guest embodies excitement. She was just a bundle of fun. And that is Sophie from Most Magical Guides.
Such a, like, you know, you've arrived at Disney when you're on Pirates.
Yeah.
And I think Haunted Mansion, I personally love it. And I actually think the Disney World version is probably my favourite because I love the storyline of that one and the narration. However, I think there's always space for more haunts. You know, if anyone wants to sign up and be the 1,000th haunt.
Yeah.
And it's something that kind of also influenced my decision was when I was in California, it was Christmas time and they had the Night Before Christmas overlay.
Okay.
And I was obsessed. Like, I didn't think you could improve Haunted Mansion. And then I was like, it's incredible. And I was like, to the point where I was like, I almost think this could be better. Like, it's so well done, this overlay.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I think there's extra things that they could add. And it would just be even better than it is.
I loved chatting to Sophie. The funny thing is, I recorded an episode with Sophie probably 6 weeks prior to this one for her podcast. And that one lasted probably an hour and a half. And then I had Sophie come on to mine, and we probably chatted for an hour and a half again. And I could chat for hour on end to Sophie because she is so positive. And I think that we bounced off each other because we both try to bring this level of positivity. We both try to bring this joy and this excitement for this thing that we love in Orlando. So, Sophie, Most Magical Guides, legend. And talking about legends, we go back. We've got another return. We've got another returning legend, or two legends, and it was Ashley and Emma.
Hello.
Thank you for having us, mate. Once again.
Yeah, my pleasure entirely, genuinely. And I just said it before we kind of click record, but like we talked about Halloween Horror Nights an awful lot in our first episode, and I loved it. And ever since that first episode, we were talking about doing another one, and getting this episode sorted. So I'm so glad that we're doing it, and it's so great to speak to you both and see you both again.
We're looking forward to it, mate. As soon as you asked us to do the specific subject, we knew that we could speak a lot about it. So we're looking forward to getting into it.
And there was only one episode that I could get them on for next. And it was Halloween Horror Nights. And they just discussed some absolutely fantastic elements of Halloween Horror Nights and their experiences and their favourite houses and their favourite like kind of scare zones and stuff like that from in the parks. And I wanted to get Ashley and Emma on, and I said earlier in this episode, but they obviously cancelled their trip because of their newborn, who was due to be born soon. So I really wanted to get them on, but obviously I couldn't talk about a most recent trip with them because they ended up cancelling it. So I wanted to find a way to get them on, and Halloween Horror Nights just felt like the way to do it. And I loved it. And I'm going to do Halloween Horror Nights. I don't know when it's going to be. I really don't at this point, but I will make it happen. I really will. And I really will. And next guest was Ashley from Disney Through Our Veins.
So you used to work in Walt Disney World, was it?
I did, yeah. So I worked in the Epcot theme park in the UK Pavilion.
Yeah.
So if anyone doesn't know, Epcot's like made up of countries, and each country has representatives from each country working at that pavilion. So I went and did that in 2007.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went and did that and actually met my husband.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And Ashley was wonderful. She was brilliant. And it was so nice to hear her experience about meeting her husband when she was on the cultural exchange program when she was working in Epcot. That was so fun to hear. And Ashley's brilliant. She really is. And she is Ashley. And I love that. She is who she is, and she puts out content being herself. And I'm all for that. I really, really am. I think she was absolutely brilliant. She was such fun to chat to, and hearing about her experiences and just everything about what she loves about Orlando was just magical. And magical, we got another returning guest, but I got these guests on for a And Beyond episode, and this was Disneyland Paris. So Disneyland Paris with Ellie and Mitchell. And Ellie and Mitchell were back, and I didn't need an excuse to get Ellie and Mitchell on again by any means, but we found a way, because they were due to go on their Orlando trip, but I wanted to get them on before then because I was dying to chat with them again. And Disneyland Paris was just such a fun way to chat with Ellie and Mitchell. And next up was episode 68, and I put it on myself. It was one of these, I took my own questions and I turned it on me, and it was the keep, update and close one, because I've become progressively meaner. Since the Misgivings one, I've become progressively meaner with my keep, update and close options. And I've started giving some really, really tough choices out. And I basically went for it. I went for it with keep, update and close. And I tried to give myself the hardest choices. So I probably closed and I probably upset some people with it, but it was one of those conversational ones. And episode 69 was with two more brilliant people, and it was the Wanderlust Worleys. Veloskos, did you manage to do that a few times on this trip as well?
Twice or three?
Just twice.
No, two or three times. Yeah.
Did you manage to do it at night at all?
No, frustratingly, the park was closing at like 6 p.m. and 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And it was just really early, and it was frustrating because obviously we were staying on site, so it could have been a case of we just go in at 8 p.m. until whenever. Yeah, it closed really early, so yeah, that was a little frustrating. But
It's too early.
it just means I need to go back and do it again at night.
There you go. It's another excuse. There's many excuses, but there's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was Adam and Bryony, and we talked about their most recent trip. And you know, it was so fun to hear about their trip, and they'd approached it from a different way as well, because they'd gone with kind of extended family, so they'd gone with a larger group. So it was cool to hear about their experience and their experience of getting back out to Orlando as well. Well, episode 70 was the surprise trip announcement one. So as a lot of you will know, that I dropped a video. I dropped a video on YouTube where I did a surprise trip announcement for Annie. And in this episode, I basically talked you all through what I did and what our trip was going to be. And it was so special because I told a few people. I hadn't told many, but I had told a few people. And I booked this trip back in April. And I'd managed to keep it a secret until November. And when I eventually told Annie, she was just shocked, I think is the best way to put it. She was absolutely shocked that I'd managed to keep this a secret and that I'd done this as well. So that was the surprise trip one. And I followed that up with another brilliant guest episode. And the next guest that I had on, it was the Hackett family.
Hi Rose, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting us on your podcast.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Honestly, the two of you, I think you're wonderful. Honestly, the positivity and like the vibes which I think you bring is
comes
a recipe.
Completely back in your direction, buddy, because I think exactly the same about your. I love it. I listen to it all the time, and again, just the positivity that comes from it. It's lovely to hear, and so
I really appreciate it. I really do. And that's what this space is all about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just being able to like talk about something which we all share a passion for. So, you know, it's all good stuff.
And the Hackett family, legends, absolute legends. I loved this episode. They were wonderful. They really, really were. Ash and Lindsay from the Hackett family they were so fun. They were so fun to talk to, and I really want to chat with them again. I really do, because I know that you all loved it as well. They were just so happy, so positive, so immensely generous and kind as well. And I feel very, very fortunate to have talked to them. I really do. I think that they are two wonderful people, and I think they're a fabulous family of four. Their young daughters are so brilliant and so full of life in their vlogs. So, like, you know, just full props for what an absolutely incredible, brilliant family. And next up, we've got another And Beyond episode, and it was with a Brit Travels again.
It's the best show, and I've got a feeling I know because I've watched your video. But what was your favourite show in this park?
Well, if you know, then yeah, it is Untrainable.
Yeah,
Untrainable. The How to Train Your Dragon show. Is that what you were going to say?
It is, and honestly, this excites me a lot, because, and I don't know, you'll know better than I, but are we getting literally this show at Epic Universe?
We are. We're going to get it beat for beat, but in English, thankfully, because I didn't understand a word of what they were saying.
No idea what was going on, but I loved it.
I was watching it like, yeah, this is great. Not a clue.
But a Brit travels all the way to Universal Studios Beijing. And like I said in Lee's first episode, he's got such good knowledge. He's got such brilliant knowledge of experiences in other parks that it made sense. It made sense for us to go into a conversation about a park somewhere else outside of Orlando. And just, it was so much fun. And it was so good to chat to Lee again. And then I got to chat to Lee again, because in episode 73, which is one of my favourite episodes, the Three Caballeros one.
And it's Doctor Doom.
Of course.
It has to be, didn't it?
You got to keep up the reputation.
Yeah, I mean, like, but genuinely, and this isn't just like a thing. I love this ride. I absolutely adore it. So for me, it as a wild card, and the problem is, it is not the best ride in the world. So it wins no category. But if I can wild card it, because I made the categories, funnily enough, then I found my way of getting Doctor Doom in there.
Should we put all of them in?
No.
I don't want Cat in the Hat in our park. If I can.
Absolutely not.
I'm just gonna leave then. Wow.
I love how Lee's just thinking like, how can I possibly somehow get Cat in the Hat in? We'll just appease everyone. And we're like, no.
Well, I didn't want to sit here and argue with you for 10 hours about why Cat in the Hat
I just realised we should have done an underrated category as well, because then Cat in the Hat could be considered.
Underrated.
I wouldn't consider it. I'm just saying.
And it was myself, Jade from Time for Jade, and Lee from A Brit Travels, and we became the Three Caballeros. And we basically made our dream hybrid park. We put suggestions forward, we voted on it, and it was such a fun but different episode. And again, it's so heartwarming when I get responses and I get feedback that people say that they've enjoyed an episode because of the kind of style of episode it was and who I've had on it and stuff like that. And this episode was everything that I wanted it to be. And I feel so lucky to be able to call Jade and Lee two of my best friends. I really do from this space. I really do. So I'm so appreciative of both of them and their amazing support. And talking to support, the next guests that we've got up are Rob and Matt.
You know, you don't want to go on these. I don't know if this is going to be like a once in a lifetime trip for me or whatever. I was just thinking, I don't know. So I was waiting for the right person, a person that also got it, a person that also loved it as much as I was going to love it. And I suppose that's why I waited so long, really, in my life to go before I actually, we actually went.
Yeah.
I mean, we did plan to go years ago, didn't we? And then we did plan to go in 2020. And
yeah, originally it was
that didn't
2020.
happen.
that didn't happen.
And then 2022. So 2022 was the first year that we actually went.
And it's quite funny what you've just been talking about, because my family were exactly the same. And me and my sister were talking about it the other day, and we used to like beg to be able to go, and it was always too expensive. And like, I get it now as an adult, but we were laughing the other day because we were talking about the fact that my parents bought us a Disney World planning VHS.
Yeah.
On how to plan your trip.
You
And
used
we were like,
you used
okay,
to
so we
get
get the
them for free.
VHS, but we don't get to go.
Here, watch this.
It's Rob and Matt, and I will say their intro to their YouTube vlogs is top tier. Go and check it out. Go and check out their YouTube, because their intro is amazing. And they were such fun to talk to. Again, two people who've got such immense knowledge about the parks, immense knowledge about Orlando. So it was so good to kind of have these conversations and really get into it. And we keep moving forward, and our next guest was Soaring with Sam.
Your favourite park is definitely Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood Studios, but I mean, Islands of Adventure is just
Yeah.
incredible. Obviously, where you got Velocicoaster and Hagrid's, everyone still has that debate to this day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like literally, there's nothing in it, really, is there?
Just walking around that park, and you've got, I don't know, like it just, everything just goes away, and like you just enjoy it.
Yeah, again, the same with Hollywood Studios as well. Like they're both such good parks. I feel like they're both right up there, and I'm the same as you. I think I'd put those at the top.
Yeah,
I think that there's, especially Hollywood Studios, like with Galaxy's Edge, with like Toy Story Land, you've just got such like big immersive lands. But then you've got places that are classic, like where Tower of Terror is.
Yeah,
all for it.
Just stopping off at the Starbucks, walking down Sunset Boulevard with the jazz music.
Yeah,
it's just the feels, in it. Like,
yeah, I'm here for it.
What a legend. And I have got a lot of time for Sam. I think that he's putting some great videos out. I really do. And I think that the sky's the limit for Sam. And I mean that. And I mean, I'd say that for everyone, but I mean, especially Sam. He's a young guy. He's a young guy who's gone. And I don't think Sam will mind me saying this, and I'll ask him. So if this is in this episode, I've asked him. I don't think Sam will mind me saying that he was nervous. And you know, like I said about Jade earlier, I don't think he'll mind me saying that he was really nervous for kind of coming on this episode, because this is proper out of the comfort zone. And I know it. I know it is. But I always try to make people feel comfortable. I'm probably not the most professional person ever. I am there to have a laugh. I'm there to talk about Orlando, but I'll try and entertain. I will try and make you feel as relaxed as possible, because I just appreciate that you're taking your time out to come and chat to me. And Sam, honestly, it was one of my absolute favourites, because he, again, has been so supportive, but he started his journey of like doing YouTube, and he's done a few different series at this point, but he, I think, could go really, really far, and I think he could be putting out some amazing content. I really do. So go and check out Soaring with Sam, because this guy is absolutely top tier. And talking of top tier, we got two people who supported the podcast from day one, and it is Adventures with Hannah and Michael.
Everything looks amazing.
Totally agree.
And I'm completely on board, like with what you're saying, with what Michael's saying, with like the animatronics in in the Dark Universe ride. That it just looks incredible, and that's totally what Universal like could be good at, and it's totally what they should do, and they've gone for it, and they've listened to people, which is fantastic. And then to go from that to like that Ministry of Magic ride.
Oh, stunning.
I mean, I was so excited. I was so
I think
excited.
just even the ride aside, just being able to walk into that, I think will
to
just
walk
be...
into the ministry,
Oh, incredible.
And what a fun episode. We could have talked for a long time, and we could have gone on some tangents as well. And myself and Michael nearly went on a tangent about Marvel at one point, and I think we reined ourselves in a bit. But again, a channel which is fairly new, but they've put out some brilliant vlogs. So show some support. Show them the support that they've shown to me, and let's go and watch a bit of Hannah and Michael, because they are legends. And I've got the return of another legend, and it is Rosie from Theme Park Traveller.
The Ferris wheel was my favourite. I just absolutely love the I mean, have you seen any videos of the Ferris wheel?
I've not seen the videos, to be fair. What is it about it?
It's like, so you can go, there are two sides to the Ferris wheel. So one side is just like a normal Ferris wheel where you're just going around, and then the other side, the I don't know, like the gondola thingies that are in the Ferris wheel, they're on a track. So as the thing moves around, you also roll down the track. So once you hit the top part and go down, you end up rolling down and then swinging all the way out. And it's totally mental. It's so much fun.
Talked about Disneyland California, and this is a part that I haven't done, so it was so wonderful to hear Rosie's perspective, and I loved hearing Rosie's perspective of Tower of Terror, or the Guardians Mission Breakout, or whatever it's called. It was so fun to hear about that. She is brilliant, as I've said earlier. And next up, we go into controversy again. Episode 80 was the worst rides in Orlando one. I probably upset some people, but I probably made some people go, yeah, you're absolutely right as well. So another one of those fun episodes, and it moves me on to episode 81, which had me absolutely in stitches again. And this was That Disney Girl one. And this was with Amy and Sam.
Midway Mania, we are going to update.
Okay.
Said like maybe like updating the screens or like the track system,
Yeah.
but the ride itself is fun. It's enjoyable for everyone.
Or update the actual shooter.
The shooting mechanism.
I'm quite aggressive when I play it.
He injured himself on the last one, so I actually beat him the game after, and I will not let him. It's like 2 times I have beat him throughout our whole relationship of playing.
I've got a very specific and aggressive technique when I play Midway Mania.
And Sam, he went for it. He absolutely went for it. As you would have heard, he went for most overrated, and he basically picked like Amy's favourite ride. And it honestly, it just had me with tears in my eyes. I was absolutely just laughing my head off throughout this entire episode. They were wonderful. So please do go and check out Amy's Instagram, That Disney Girl. It is brilliant. It really, really is. And another pair of legends. And next up, we've got the return of Kimberly and Dan. So Kimberly's journey was back.
Do you know our trip? For any of you that don't know, we were flying out just during like Hurricane Milton. So we were meant to fly on the Thursday, but that was the day the hurricane hit. So our flight got moved to the next day. So we'd already been delayed a day. We'd lost a whole day of our holiday. We sit down on the airplane, and this one here, incapable.
It was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose.
He's incapable of holding his water bottle. He's like, no, I don't want to hold it. So he tried to hang it on the tray table clip, and it just snapped off.
It must have been faulty anyway. It had to have been.
Well, either way, I used to be cabin crew, so instantly, as soon as I saw that snapped off like thing, and so the tray table wouldn't hold up, I knew that meant that they wouldn't be able to say that cabin's secure, because obviously your tray table has to be up before they take off. So they're going to come around, they're going to see that, and they won't be able to report to the captain that it was secure. And I said to Daniel, I was like, that's going to cause a delay. I was like, that's going to cause a delay. He's no, it won't. And the lady come over, she's like, oh, going to need to get an engineer on board. And I just looked at him and I was thinking, if we have to get off this plane, find a new plane, whatever reason, but luckily they come out with the duct tape.
They come back and said, oh, there's no engineer to like come on board like just yet. So I said, just get some tape. And just tape
I
it up.
don't care. Just get us up in the
We
air.
just want to get there.
They'd been on their most recent trip, and it was so funny. It was so funny to hear about Dan breaking the tray table. And that's what I mean. I think that these two as a couple, I think that I don't think they're trying to be funny. But I think they're naturally funny people, and I think they're really relatable people. And I love that about them. I think that they are absolutely brilliant. I think they're wonderful. So please do go and check out their YouTube. Go and check out Kimberly's journey on Instagram as well, because what she's doing with her recipes, that is going to make you hungry. That is going to make you absolutely hungry. And next up, the Orlando Awards.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Orlando Awards 2024. How is everyone doing?
Very dressed up.
It is 11 a.m. We are dressed to the nines, and it feels great.
This is literally the earliest I think I've ever been dressed up. I don't even think I was this dressed up for university graduation.
No, I don't think I was either.
But it's absolutely wonderful because we've got Russ here.
Hey, it's exciting. And genuinely, this is the smartest I've ever dressed for a podcast. So anyone who's ever like been on a call with me and have seen I'm just like there in a t-shirt or a hoodie.
Yeah.
This is out of the ordinary, to say the least.
I was going to say, all our like previous videos of us on doing the podcast, I am in like my comfy clothes, no makeup, my hair's just whipped back, headphones are on, and now I'm like, look at me now.
I really wanted to do the like Zoom thing that we used to do in lockdown where it was like really smart on the top, but like our bottoms are in. Otherwise, I would have totally just gone jogging bottoms on the bottom of this.
You have on slippers.
And do you know what? It's funny because I didn't count this as an episode because it was different. Because it was, I didn't feel like it was a podcast episode as such, but I felt like it was very much an awards episode. And it was myself, Chloe and Stephen from Parks and Pals, and we banded together to make something special, to make something different, to make something unbelievable. And I think we managed it. I think that we made something spectacular. I think that the Orlando Awards is going to become a staple. The Orlando Awards is only ever going to grow. So watch this space because the Orlando Awards is coming back in 2025 with a vengeance as well. Next up, another legend, and I had Lauren from Disney Dream in 91 on Instagram.
I know you love them as well. Margaritas are also my holiday drink, so it's always got to be done.
Yeah, margaritas in Florida. I don't know what it is. Like, to be fair, I love a margarita over here, but it's not something I go to that often. But
No.
But in Orlando, like, it doesn't matter where I'm out for dinner, I'm looking for a margarita before I look for anything.
Literally same.
Yeah. Yeah, love it.
Lauren is great. She is wonderful. I love to chat with Lauren. She was so lovely to talk to, and as you would have heard, it's so funny that basically we kind of like have this shared passion for Orlando, but it turns out that actually we live very, very close to one another. So I think it was so funny when we kind of both realised, we're like, I recognise that place. But Lauren she was brilliant. She really, really was. And it was such a delight to chat to Lauren. And I absolutely will have Lauren back on at some point. I have every guest back on. Like, there's no question on that, by the way. Like, but I definitely will get Lauren back on at some point for potentially for an and beyond episode, I reckon. And if we're talking about positivity, if we're talking about a way to get over the Disney blues, I'm not sure we can look too much further than Skipper James.
Today, a little competition that a lot of people in the UK entered, which was the UK's biggest Disney fan. And I thought at that point, I was like, oh, I need to make my Instagram a Disney Instagram account in order to maybe stand out or fit in or whatever. So I sat there for about a day thinking, what on earth can I call my, like, because every name's been invented.
Yeah, 100%.
So I was like, right, what do I like? I went with Haunted Mansion. I was like trying to think of anything possible. And then I was like, oh, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Jungle Cruise, and so why not go with just sticking the word Skipper in front of my name, and we'll be done with it. So that's where the name came from, I guess.
Because Skipper James, episode 87, Skipper James, this guy is one of the most naturally funny and entertaining people I've ever met. I think James is brilliant. I really, really do. So I honestly, I just got so much time for James. I think that he is a brilliant person. I think that the content he's putting out is just pure entertainment, and that's the main thing. But also, he's got some mega kind of like memories and experiences from Orlando itself, and I keep the guests coming. We had guest after guest after guest for a little while, and the next guest that I had was Ben from the Great British Mickey Waffle.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it
fabulous podcast, and I've wanted to get Ben on for a while, and I just basically I felt bad because I needed to get Ben on for a long time, and we found a way to get Ben on at fairly short notice, and that was to talk about Universal Studios UK. So we went into speculation. We went into this zone of, let's just say what we want to happen. Let's say if this happens, what do we want? And it was such a fun episode. It really, really was. And please do go and check out the Great British Mickey Waffle. They're a wonderful podcast. And I feel very honoured to have been on the Great British Mickey Waffle many, many months ago at this point. And talking of honour of getting someone on the podcast after 89 episodes, who comes on the podcast? It was the Orlando with Annie one.
I think honoured is a bit strong.
Privileged. I never thought the day would come. And here you are, fresh off the back of a trip to Orlando. It is literally travel home day.
So I'm absolutely exhausted, so it's probably the worst time ever for me to come on, but at least everything is fresh in my mind.
It's totally fresh, so we can have it in the memory of what we've literally just done in the past week. And Annie came on the podcast, and it was literally travel home day. We're sat at home, and I'm like, can we record a pod? And Annie's like, yeah, let's do it. And what an episode. And you all loved it. I've had a lot of feedback saying that they enjoyed that episode. And if we want more Annie, then I need to do more trips. But Annie was brilliant. And again, like, I don't think Annie will mind me saying, I haven't had Annie on for 89 episodes because it is my thing. I've wanted to have Annie on, but also at the same time, I think doing a podcast hasn't felt like Annie's thing either. I feel like it's felt quite out there. It's felt very different than anything that Annie has been prepared to do. So for her to come on and for us to have such a great episode, it was special. And I was obviously very appreciative that Annie did come on the podcast. And here's to getting Annie on again at some point in the future. Hopefully it won't another 89 episodes to wait until we do so. And next up was the first business that I've managed to get on the podcast, and it was Ocean, Florida.
Classic ride, and Velocicoaster is my
unmatched.
all-time favourite. My dad's like late 70s, and he still goes on it now. He says that's his test, that whether he's still got it or not.
Yeah, I love that.
He's a ride on Velocicoaster, and that he's still alive at the end of it.
Amazing.
So they're mine. Yeah.
Yeah, Anna, what was your favourite ride?
Firstly, I want to say that Abby cheated because she said 2 answers, not 1.
Oh no, I did. I'm sorry.
I'm going to take Velocicoaster as the answer, but I can understand where you're going
now.
under.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to be the anti-hero in this because you asked, what's your favorite ride?
Yeah, I did.
Well, my favorite ride is actually a helicopter ride.
Oh, that's a shout. Yeah.
Because you know what? People think it's like so expensive, but it's not. You can get like a 10-minute helicopter ride over the theme parks from $65 per person.
Ocean, Florida. What a company for a start. What a business. And Anna and Abby were wonderful. Like, they were so fun, but they came at it from different angles, and that's exactly what I wanted. We came from the Ocean, Florida side of things with Anna, but we came from the Orlando, and I love Orlando kind of side with Abby. And I think that as an episode, it was everything that I wanted it to be, and I hope that everyone enjoyed it, because I want to hear about how businesses have operated, and I want to hear about what people's passion are for Orlando. And if a business is passionate about Orlando, that gives me a confidence. That gives me a confidence to go, I'd book with these people because they get it. They get why we love this. And she's back. Oh, she's back. She's back again, and it was Jade.
I think that most of us will be taking one short day to Emerald City.
Amazing.
And I can't wait. I agree with everything you said in the last pod that you did about it. Because you mentioned Wicked, didn't you? You think that's going to come to the parks.
Yeah.
And I agree. And Lee doesn't agree. Lee thinks that they're not going to announce anything. I think they're definitely going to do it whether they announce it or not. It's going to 100% happen.
I mean, it's got, like, let's get into it. It's got to happen because, I mean, that, I think of like that tribute store, the Wicked one, that space is massive. And I know that like you haven't been there and seen it, but like, I'll tell you, it's amazing. Like, and if you're a fan of the films, amazing. But like for them to have something that big and pushing that film that hard, to me suggests that they're going to back it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to back it with that, then I feel like off the back of how well the film has done, you've got to move. You've got to do it. And
Jade was back with Tangents with Jade, and oh, did we go on some tangents. And I just, again, and I said it earlier in the episode, but Jade has been such an immense support. She has been such a fantastic, a wonderful part of this community, not just for myself, but for everyone. That I think I speak for everyone, that we are so appreciative of Jade. I think we're so lucky to have Jade as part of this community. So go and show Jade some love. If you don't follow Jade, please do, because she is absolutely brilliant, and her posts are fantastic. Pictures are great. When she did her mini vlogs out in Orlando as well, they were fantastic. So go and show some love for Time for Jade. Next up, and we're nearing the end, we're at episode 94. Episode 94 was Chris and Steve Do Disney.
Going back to like when we worked there, they were going to update it from Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Two rumors at the time.
That's right.
One of the agreements that they were actually starting to put in place, and I don't know how much truth was in this, was Hannah Montana, which
okay,
would have been hilarious.
It would have been the best thing ever.
It's like, walking around there at Miley Cyrus as Hannah Montana would be.
Yeah.
But then the other one was that they were talking about. Oh, who was it? It was another band that they were going to replace Aerosmith with, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Like, if you do it, Hannah Montana, I'll be on that ride all day long. It's like.
And this was a recent episode, but they were brilliant. They were absolutely just so much fun to talk to, and just so much positivity, and a bit like Ashley from Diz for Our Veins, they met each other doing their cultural program in Epcot as well at the same time, and it was so wonderful to hear about that and to hear about their experiences, but also to hear about their love for Orlando and to hear about their love for all of the things in Orlando, not necessarily just the theme parks. But an absolute pair of legends again, absolutely brilliant. And it leads me to episode 96. Episode 96 was a big one. Episode 96 was a pair of guests who I wanted to have on for a long time. And the excitement that you guys showed when this episode went up justified that immensely. And it was Keith and Tracy from Cheers Ears.
Hello, you lovely lot. Happy Sunday.
How are you both doing? You both well?
Yeah, we're extremely well. Nice chilled Sunday. We've got a spaghetti bolognese bubbling away and chatting to you, mate.
Lovely. I love it. Obviously, you know, we get the chance to chat about something that we love in Orlando. And, you know, I really appreciate you taking your time out to come on and obviously have a chat with me. So,
and wow, what an episode. Again, if we're talking about positivity, if we're talking about this community, if we're talking about having built something special, Cheers Ears needs to be right at the top of that list because they are brilliant. They are who they are. And who they are is fantastic. Who they are is amazing. And it's just, they are legends. The family as a whole, just what a bunch of legends. And it's so nice to see as a family them doing different stuff as well, whether or not it's Orlando, but also including the racing stuff with Luke, I think is so great to see. And I think people get behind that because we're invested in who they are as a family. And I think it's such a credit and a testament to them that they built this amazing community around them from this amazing community itself. So legends, Cheers Ears, they were absolutely fantastic. And next up we had another legend. And this is an episode from only last week, and it was Nick Carter.
Start filling the bag of these M&Ms. She's laughing now. I can hear her. Get in the queue in front, and the lady's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe my son just spent $25 on M&Ms." Well, I've just filled it up. There's a few. So we're chucking them all in the bag and like $100, please. And I'm like, what the hell have I just done? Still a memory. And then you kind of just go back, and everything's just bigger and better there, isn't it? You step in first time you go into Olive Garden, just with this amazement of, you know, breadsticks, bread service in America. It's like, we'll get onto food later, but what is it? It's just next level.
It's something else. Nick Carter, a guy who I've been talking to on Instagram for a long time, and honestly, I relish the opportunity to have this chat with Nick, because what a guy. What a guy, and as you would have heard in the episode, just such a likeable guy, such a genuine guy, and I really do hope that Nick decides to start some vlogs, because I think he's a character that we'd all enjoy a lot. I think he's got a really, really exciting and really like relatable personality. So absolutely top guy. As with every other guest who's been on the podcast, like honestly, like everyone's amazing. They really are. And it just means we got one more to go. And the final guest episode before this one was Chelsea's Adventureland.
There's not enough time.
No,
Like,
it's a lot to fit in, isn't it?
Yeah, and that sounds mad when you say it to people, and especially people that have never been before. They're like, 2 weeks, what, you can't do? And I'm like, no, you can't. You physically just don't have enough time, especially if you want to have off days and chill out a bit and catch up. Like, it's just not possible.
And Chelsea was absolutely just brilliant. And I loved it straight away. We kind of like got into retro Universal, and we're both like, love it. Smells of the smell from the Jaws ride, and just like sparking memories from years ago, from 20 years ago. We're talking about these memories as if they were yesterday. And Chelsea was so fun to talk to, and she's just launched her latest YouTube series. She's just launched her first YouTube series, so do go and check it out. Please do, because she's putting out some great content again. She really is. So I loved chatting with Chelsea. She was absolutely fantastic and another legend. And it was such a great way to round off the guest episodes before this 100th episode. And I feel lucky. I feel honoured. I feel just so overwhelmed with the support that everyone has given. And I think we might have done it. With 100 episodes, 100 episodes, over 50 people, over 50 guests have been on this podcast. Over 50 people have taken the time to go, Russ, I'm prepared to come and chat with you about this one thing that we love, and that we don't know you personally, but we're prepared to come and do this podcast. And it genuinely makes me feel a bit emotional, because I feel so lucky. I feel so honoured. I feel so amazingly appreciative of everything that everyone has done for me. And I so hope that what this podcast is and what Orlando Adventures is embodies positivity. It embodies coming together and creating this amazing community and bringing this amazing community together. And I think with that positivity, we've managed it. I think like we've managed to get over the Orlando Blues, because the way that we can beat it is via this podcast. And I know that sounds proper arrogant. I feel like it sounds a bit up myself. It sounds a bit like, well, if you need to get over Orlando Blues, then you just need to come and listen to my podcast. Well, no, because it's not about me. It's about us. It's about our podcast. It's about sharing our experiences. I've never tried to make the guest episodes, especially about me. I want the guest episodes to be about the guests. That's why I've named everything so ironically simple. That's why I call every episode the name of whoever the guest is one. Because it's your episode. It's your episode for me to put out there for you. And I hope that you all enjoy it. I really do. And you know what? There was a point where the Orlando Blues was taking over everyone, and I could feel it. And I could feel it in November. And I could feel it in December, and it was really starting to get people. It was starting to get people down. And then January came, and it was still there. It was lingering. And like I said at the start, that blue feeling, it was getting over everyone. But what we've managed to do with this podcast, over 100 episodes, it gives me a confidence, because at 100 episodes and the immense support and the success that this podcast has had, I could have probably gone, maybe I quit while I'm ahead. Maybe I've done enough. Maybe I've done what I needed to do with this podcast. And it was a thought. It was a thought at one stage that maybe I've taken it as far as I can take it. And then I think about it. And then I think, nah. I think we've built something spectacular. We've built something mad. And I can't thank you all enough. I mean it with everything I've got, that I cannot thank all of you enough. And 100 episodes, and I say this a lot, but we're just getting started. So thank you all so much for listening. And I know this was a different episode, and I know that this is essentially a recap episode, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to say thank you. And I wanted to say that actually what we have built as a community is what can get over the Orlando blues, because I know it's low. And I know that it can feel so low when you get back from a trip and you're thinking, I don't know when the next one's going to be. And I've just been in my happiest place in the world, and I've just had the best trip. But I don't feel like I'm going to be getting out there for a while. And I see this, and I do, because in this community, we're so brilliant at saying that we're going to try and do multiple trips and stuff like that. But also, it's not always possible. So it's so difficult to sometimes get over those Orlando blues, because it feels like you don't know when you're going to go back. You don't know when you're going to get over this feeling. And I think what we've made in this podcast can combat that. And I think that we've built something so amazing. We've built something so special. And I think that we do need to guard it. So quite honestly, you are the guardians of the community. And I've been Star-Lord for one episode. I've been my most positive, my most over-the-top self. And I'm just so grateful. So for each and every single one of you, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And I will speak to you all in season 2.